Yo, let me see. Oh, no, I can't hear you. Crank my volume a little. I don't know. I wonder if it's. No, I don't think it's me. Or maybe it is. Speakers. Are you plugged into headphones or?
Phones.
There we go.
You can hear me?
Yep.
Ah, good.
Nice.
Hey.
How's it going? Oh, it turned off again. Oh,
Hectic morning, but we're getting through it.
yeah, I feel that. Um, how's it been going in general? Since the show, that's the last time I saw you.
We keep on keeping on. Um, trying to put together the next exhibition. These shows go by really quickly, and it's like once you get one up and finished, you can take a deep breath. But it lasts for like half a day, and then you're like, oh yeah, there's another one that you gotta get done.
Oh man.
So it's just, there are breaks. Over the summer we get a break and stuff like that. But
Okay.
it's you're constantly chasing something. But I guess everyone's doing that with the next project, right?
Oh yeah. Starting as soon as the last one kind of ended. Yeah, I'm definitely kind of involved in a similar situation with work. Uh yeah, projects just kind of layer on top. They stagger a little bit, you know.
Yeah, it's good. I'm always talking about just time management, and it's such a boring thing to talk about, and um, but really makes such a huge difference in your mental health if you get good at it.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah, I've recently kind of run into the idea, well, several times. I am kind of like a serial keep everything in my brainer, so
oh yeah.
I literally, well, I write things down, but for the most part my schedules and like task management only exists in my mind. And like it is a heavy weight, to just kind of like run around with. And it might feel like normal functioning, but yeah, like you said,
Mhm.
there's a world of stress that's kind of relieved off of that. Do you use any like task management apps or uh
Well, um, since starting like a real job, um, I've learned to embrace some of those things, but just very rudimentary. Like I have a calendar now, which is pretty basic, but that just it's built in. People send you invites and you accept, and then it gets automatically put on the calendar, and then the calendar automatically reminds you. So it's um, nothing that I implemented. It was just kind of imposed on
oh,
me
that's
by
pretty
the
sweet.
system, basically. Like just
Yeah,
something
yeah.
you do.
It's getting
But
grafted onto
recently,
you.
yeah, it's just part of how things work now. But I have really embraced lists and making lists, and that's kind of a new thing, taking it out of my head, like you were saying. You keep everything up there, but if I come in the morning and I write a list of kind of the things I want to achieve for that day, and then it turns the day into kind of almost a game where I now have these like side quests that I can check off my list every time I complete
Yeah.
one, even if they're really um, kind of basic things. It's just like acquire this material, and then I'm like, oh, I did it. It gives me makes me feel like I'm completing all these things. So that's been really helpful, and I recommend
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Everyone
it's
told me to
crazy.
make lists, but it's only been a recent thing.
No, yeah, I'm kind of involved in a. I've run into a couple walls recently, and they're like apparent to me, and I'm like, all right, I gotta change some stuff, and like scheduling, all of that stuff. Definitely not my strong suits, but I could see
Hmm.
how it could change a lot of things. And lists, for example, it's kind of funny the difference that it makes to be able to like see what you've done versus just like doing a task and just like, all right, I'm done. On to the next one.
Yeah. It helps, like, when I come in the morning and do make a list, I try and add as many things as possible, even if they're easy, quick things, just so by the end of the day, I can look at it and it's like all of these things, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I did that." It makes me feel accomplished.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I've been doing this for years now, but I save if I do all the grocery shopping or most of the grocery shopping, and I've been saving grocery lists I find at the store, and those have been really enjoyable as well. Like just to see what people are getting and like the weird combinations of objects that people are collecting. And once I started thinking about them and collecting them, they started popping up frequently. It's one of those things where it's like you probably don't notice it, but once it's
Yeah.
kind of in your queue in your head, it's like, oh, they're everywhere. So I probably have about, I don't know, I haven't counted them, but I'm guessing around 80 to 100.
Whoa,
Um,
like lists that you found.
yeah, found grocery lists basically.
Wow, that's so crazy. That's
Uh,
like it's always interesting seeing those like context-less combinations of stuff. It just lists in
mhm.
general, you know? It's like you don't really know what it's for unless it's titled.
Yeah, you can imagine. It's kind of interesting profile of an individual. It's like this person needed these things at some point in time.
It's like they just needed them. You don't know
Yeah,
why.
no, I was thinking of doing a project where I would go buy all the things on the list and then try and make something from those things and then photograph that with the list.
That's actually very interesting. Because you have so many of those things, those lists, and it's funny how I don't know, people's items kind of like make them like they're useful if you're gonna go out and buy them. And
Right.
that list is kind of like a formula for that person. Like I have a friend, Caleb. Uh, he he's always interested in like weird diet things, and we were talking about. He was telling me about how basically like you are what you eat in like a and he was like, what if a person just ate beans, like they would literally be the human version of a bean because like beans are like this weird food where it's like it's from what he tells me, like you can survive off of just beans.
Mhm.
And might not get all your vitamins or everything like that, but you would basically become a human being,
Human
you know?
being, a human being. Sounds good. How
And
do
it's
you
kind of
feel about?
funny the things that you consume, whether like food or not, are pretty
Mhm.
much what you are. It'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see what forms like these collected objects would take.
Well, if you eat too many carrots, you start turning orange.
I can imagine.
So I guess the specific. I'm always surprised after I eat beets, and then I go to pee, and I'm like, "What's wrong with me?" And then I'm like, "Oh yeah, I ate beets." Um, but every single time it freaks me out. I'm just like, a minute, a second goes by, and I'm just like, "Oh wait, never mind. That's normal."
It's like, oh,
Um,
I'm not dying. It's just
yeah,
that's
I'm
just the
not dying.
beats. That's the
Not
beats
blood.
talking.
Um, are you? Do you have any special dietary restrictions, or are you
No, not
vegetarian or omnivore or allergic or anything?
I don't know if I'm allergic to anything, but I pretty much eat anything. But recently I've been really kind of trying to focus on like what I eat and because with all of the stuff that's kind of been happening, obviously anxiety is always going to be a thing. Stress is like it's always shaking hands with anxiety. And I'm like, all right, like my diet is pretty like, it's who I am, it's what I am.
Hmm.
And to nurture that is to also to nurture like how I think and like uh things like that. Those really small like aspects that really affect who you are on a larger scale. So I've just been trying to at the very least eat 3 times a day, and that's like my that's like my foundationary level.
It's
And
not easy.
yeah,
It's
it's
really
not.
not. It's
It's
not.
kind of crazy. Like I really find myself like having to like tell myself to stop and to just like go and like eat some shit and then like come back.
Hmm.
Lunch is definitely getting the shit end of the stick, but I I feel like that'll get a little bit better, you know.
Hmm.
And I've been trying to, you know, I never really believed in vitamins, but I see, I don't know, they might be useful. I'm gonna see if there's gonna be any difference after a month,
No,
but
did you start taking vitamins?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I believe in vitamins.
I
Um,
believe.
I believe that they exist. Um, I can't. I would. I'm not like 100% every single day, but you know, go through ebbs and flows of them. But yeah, like
Yeah.
I do feel better when I get on a good regimen of taking vitamins. But you know, whenever I'm taking vitamins, I'm also probably in like a health kick anyway. Of like I'm
Oh yeah.
being doing more activity and being more mindful of what I'm eating. So I'm sure it's a combination of all those things.
Yeah, yeah.
I definitely notice as I've gotten older, that these things help me feel like a human again, a
Yeah,
human
so
being.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The a proper human being.
Mhm.
So I assume that you're pretty big on like diet and well not big on it, but you've paid attention to it and
I really like to cook, so
oh hell yeah.
I cook a lot, and um, it's an outlet, just as is any other. I think it's another creative form.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it just as much as I enjoy making artwork, because it falls in the same kind of category for me. I probably
Yeah.
cook way more than I make art,
Oh
especially
wow,
nowadays.
that's sick.
But I think it's and like, man, get me in front of a cooking show and I'm done.
Yeah,
It's one of the
I've
most
recently
inspiring shows, are those cooking shows.
I've recently kind of like drawn the analogy between like art and cooking. There's like a lot of metaphors that kind of just like fit,
Yeah.
and I want to fall in love with it, but I like when did you fall in love with cooking, or has it just always been a
Oh,
thing?
it's always been a thing because my mom cooked so much, and I would kind of help her in the kitchen growing up. So it was always part of like a ritual.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but I really think it's definitely hit different levels. And the past 3 years,
oh wow,
like I mean, obviously starting in 2020, um, I I think I cooked every single meal my wife and I made, except I think we counted like three in the course of almost 2 years, that we actually went out and got stuff. But for a while, we were just like locked down. Um, so I think that burned me out a little bit because now we're just going out a whole bunch.
it's like all
Um,
right, that's on hold.
it's next level stuff. But no, I was vegetarian for. about 15 years, I think. And so that also made me
Oh wow.
need to learn how to
Yeah.
cook, or at least make interesting
Yeah,
things.
otherwise you're
Uh,
just eating beans.
Ate so many beans. I did.
What
Um, so
what
like,
was
yeah, go ahead.
what was the decision that, steered you in the direction of being, you said vegetarian or vegan?
I was vegetarian most of the time.
Oh, okay.
I tried to do vegan for, I probably made it about a year, give and take, but it was hard. Plus, this was like, I don't know, between like late 90s to early 2000s. So
Wow.
I think I started to be a vegetarian in like, I want to say 97.
Yeah.
I probably made it until um, 20, uh, 28, 2010, something like that.
Wow.
Um, I was growing up, I was involved in like, played music. We had a really good punk rock scene. And if you're in the punk rock scene, just like adjacent to that is going to be people with, just strong opinions, um, social, cultural, which was great. So we did a was part of an organization, Food Not Bombs, that was we made vegetarian meals that we would then take down and feed people in need
Oh
downtown
wow.
every Sunday. And it was like a group of us that would get together, and usually it was just like vegetable soup, um, canned donations, and we got like bread donations. And that was a big influence in me. And it was all about not only like animal rights, which is always a thing, I think, if
Yeah.
you're vegetarian, but also just um, water usage and pollution. And it's just not a, it doesn't really make sense. The industry itself doesn't make sense. So it was more of like a pushback on just industry standards of meat eating. And I
Yeah,
believe in
yeah.
all that stuff still, for sure. I just became more of a nihilist, and I'm like, I don't care anymore. Got old and was like, I'm gonna just live my life and enjoy it while I can.
Yeah,
Which,
yeah, yeah.
it's not a great way to think, but
I mean, it's realistic. Just that perspective, given all of like I don't know, circumstances are weird to say the least, you
yeah.
know? But I don't know, it's the ideas and the motions, movements that kind of help against that. But yeah, I being vegetarian has always kind of been appealing, mostly for, I don't know, reasons surrounding like cooking and of course health and things like that. But above all, I just want to cook more because I think it's a very it's it's so tied into to culture and like community. And
Hmm.
of course, with all like the nihilism, I feel like culture and community is the solution to that,
Hmm.
and I don't know, there's just so much like uh agency involved in cooking, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it's powerful.
yeah, yeah, like not only is it like a reason to kind of, share in all aspects, whether like sharing ideas, sharing food, sharing care and all of that stuff. It's
Hmm.
it's also nourishing and helping, grow and all of that stuff. Like you don't really get to do that with like a really long time ago we did like a project in school on food deserts and basically how that like just fucks a community, you
Yeah.
know? And like it's like food, it should be like the focus, but instead people are kind of left resourceless and they have to like go to like fast food spots not only does that like, that's terrible for your diet and your mental health and well-being, it also kind of is, it's not really a good, uh I don't know, it creates dependency, and then
Yeah,
generations don't really get to learn that same agency that cooking has.
it's not
But
it's not communal,
yeah,
and
yeah,
so much of a culture's identity is wrapped up in the food they eat and consume and make together and share together. And I think that just really defines, like, yeah, a community, a group of people, a culture, as well. It's significant. And um, I don't know, I think it's really a really important thing. So but I also just like the process of it.
yeah, yeah.
Like I can
You gotta
I
tell me
can take,
about that because I hate the process.
really. You don't like shopping for an hour?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, I look at it like I'm building something. Like
Oh,
I go into it the same way I go into like making a sculpture, or I have my kind of have a plan where I'm going to go forward with, but it always diverges and things happen. And preparation, I can get meditative in, and I put my headphones in and listen to some interesting podcasts or listen to some good music, and um, just kind of zone out. And it's it's for fulfilling, because at the end of it, you have something to show for it. And I'm just like, um, everything in life is just decision making. And when you can go into something like making a meal, I'm pretty confident in like the decisions I'm going to have to make to get the results at the end.
yeah,
So I don't have to be questioning things. I can just go through this process and feel confident in it. And I
yeah,
think
yeah.
coming out of it in the end, I'm like, oh, this is like life giving. I made it, and I knew what I was
Yeah,
doing, and I didn't question it, even though, of course, there's things that throw you off. So I think it makes me feel more confident as like a human afterwards, when I'm like, whoa, that's pretty amazing. I
yeah, yeah.
know I'm like levitating it to another level, but I really think
No,
it.
no, that I think that's like very accurate. I've been like because I've been trying to do a lot of like reframing because I put a little bit too much value in just creating like artwork, which is like amazing, but everything else tends to take a complete backseat. And of course, like,
Mhm.
you can imagine like that's not good, So I've been trying to view like um life as kind of like an artistic practice. And what you just said about cooking was kind of very, I don't know, it was very helpful in kind of seeing how that could be a part of that, like uh living as like a creative process, and emphasis on process. Because like, I don't know. I was talking with another person about kind of like life is process type stuff, and I don't know, to be able to like redirect that creative energy into like, like your food is your artwork,
Mhm.
and it's like what, three opportunities to make I wouldn't say a masterpiece, but to like practice a craft,
Yeah.
that's kind of beautiful. And not only does that craft like probably feel good, or maybe sometimes it might be very average or even below average, you also get to like, consume your own artwork, and it helps you become a better like artist or a
Mhm.
better human, and I could that's kind of strong, that's like very powerful.
And it almost puts it in a very uh, in a way that's like, if you don't create these three artworks every day, you will die. It makes it even more serious. So now,
Yeah, it's
um,
compelling.
It is makes you confront your own mortality. um, so yeah, another thing over the pandemic that really got into was just we had a big garden, so growing vegetables and stuff like that. And um, this past summer, that it's been such a drought, we just kind of gave up on the garden, but we still have a pretty good. We've made a lot of plants, and that was another kind of significant thing that tied into that, like being able to kind of go outside and uh, pick my off my own basil plant and pick my own
Oh, nice.
tomatoes. Um, that would be there's a romanticism behind it, and I am totally bought into it, of like living off the things that help create. So I mean, I love that idea, and I think living in a city, it's important to do that. um
Oh yeah.
like, how's your transition been in going from, I mean, Houston's a huge city, so going from Houston to New York isn't as big of a jump, I guess. I think going from anywhere to New York is going to be a pretty significant
Yeah.
change. But how have you been? How long have you been there now?
I've been here about a year now. I feel like my first my first couple months were it was a little bit of a denial in like what a city kind of demands from people and like what my expectations were. And I was kind of like trying to fit into an idea of what it's like to live here, and that wore
Mhm,
me out like really fast. And then I got like really kind of closed in, and I got like very contemplative, and I came up with a lot of interesting ideas. And I don't know, I was it felt like I was doing things for myself a little bit more, and then that kind of like just turned into a coast. I just kind of coasted for a little bit, and I wasn't
mhm.
really mindful in like how I was like the resources that are here in cities. I kind of got a little closed off,
Mhm.
and that's kind of where I am right now. Like there, I'm doing like I got the scaffolding up, on myself, and there's like a lot of reframing that I'm trying to do to utilize like not only where I'm living, but of course like how I'm living. I'm noticing, especially now, because I had like I feel like the first year was kind of like training wheels on like how how to expect, which sounds a little weird, but like uh what how to manage my expectations and like what to expect, not only with my interactions with people and my interactions with like my own like um habits or routines and stuff like that, but
Mhm.
also like I'm really big on aligning with like seasons and how you can really learn a lot on how to live like efficient. Not, I don't want to say efficiently because that feels like a business word. That feels like a but like how to be like really aligned with lessons that like seasons kind of want you to learn.
Mhm.
So experiencing the winter for a second time. I experienced fall, but I wasn't really kind of keyed in, because it's easy to kind of mull over transitional seasons like spring and fall, but like this winter, definitely going to be. I want to be a little bit more mindful of like uh, being outside, you know, even
Mhm.
when it's cold, but just getting sunlight and stuff like that, because you have to kind of approach it strategically, or else it's easy to just get like that seasonal depression,
Yeah,
and
it
yeah, so
really is.
that's basically the main thing that I've kind of been kind of working with out here is, all right, there's the 10-minute mark. Just kind of being mindful with the seasons.
that's super important. I'm glad you're thinking about that. Um, that was probably the most influential thing for me to leave was the winters. Every year I was like, I'll get used to it, you know, or and I never did. February, every year in February was like the worst month for me, uh, because
Yeah,
it's the
it's
coldest and you're over it.
oh yeah.
Um, so I would always prepare. It's like, oh, February is coming. I'm really gonna have to like be mindful, do some things that make me feel good about myself and who I am, and my getting out in the sun. I was first few years I lived there. I was working at a bar, so I really didn't see the sun for months when in the wintertime because
Oh shit.
I'd go into work when the sun was going down. I'd work all night. You know, bars don't close till extra late, like 4 o'clock. We
Yeah.
would wrap things up, shut down. We wouldn't be out of there till 5. Then we'd go get breakfast. Wouldn't be home till like 6 a.m. Sun's coming up. You go to bed, you sleep all day, and then you wake up. So it's just like living in nighttime. It's totally flipped. And in the wintertime, especially, my body was like, no, you are not built for that. It's not what you need. So that was always interesting. But yeah, I'm not a cold weather person.
Yeah, I'm honestly not either. The Winter Slam dunked me last year, but there's like a lot of experiments that I'm kind of flirting with right now to try and like see if I can, balance out at the very least. Like I
Mhm.
just want to be decent, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so I recently what I've kind of been working on is like a project that's it's kind of like individual like world building. I'm always really interested in these like artists who are able to kind of create like cultures and atmospheres and all of this stuff for like movies and comic books and stuff like that. So I am with that whole like life as like an artistic practice. I want to kind of make my own personal like little culture that's based in like I don't know, just the habits that I kind of have and the things that I make and their like how they look aesthetically because that's kind of fun too.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
maybe even like the foods that I eat during the winter and all of that stuff,
Oh,
just to help me feel like I'm I wanna make all of this stuff that I do a little bit more uh sweet, you know? And the only way I can incentivize that is by just making stuff, you know?
I want you to keep me posted if you start cooking. We can do some recipe swaps.
Oh yeah.
Um, I think it's always that's a healthy um, communal project to work on. Like I got a really, really, really easy, incredibly easy salsa recipe that will
Oh
make you feel like
nice.
you're back in Houston.
I'm
um,
actually scared of making sauces for absolutely no reason. So that'll be nice for me to ease into
yeah,
sauce
it's
making.
incredibly easy. It's just a green sauce you put on tacos, like street tacos. Um, the other thing that like really saved my life when I was up there was towards the like it was a few years before I even like started doing this, but really started just getting on the train and going upstate and going hiking even in the winter
Oh
just
wow.
to like get to some random small town and even went to like Connecticut or some random small town in upstate New York, um, mountains and just like being outside, being away from the city, and then coming back to the city was always just so refreshing. And if you can make time to just get out for a day, that was like life changing, really was.
Oh yeah, yeah. Really help you kind of like appreciate both aspects.
Hmm.
I'm going to steal that. I've only been upstate one time, and the one time that I went, it was beautiful, you know. And I kind of
Mhm.
want to take my bike up there. That's been like my means of feeling like a little bit I don't know. There's something freeing about biking around. You're going really fast and it's
Great.
like a complete stress reliever. So I to double down on that, you know, being upstate with a bike, I'm pretty sure that would be crazy.
Yeah. Eating some home cooked food. You got this.
Oh yeah, yeah, most definitely. But I guess we could probably wrap up there. It was
Cool.
nice talking to you, man. Like
Yeah.
this is a very constructive conversation for my whole scaffolding project, you know.
Yeah, no, this is great. I'm flattered and happy to be part of this project you got going on, and I'm a fan of your work. Keep doing it. Um, Always happy to talk more if you ever need to. So you know where to find me.
No,
Um,
most definitely.
and I'll be in touch soon to talk about the getting your work somewhere
Oh,
after the show. I'm
oh
sure.
wow.
Yeah, and so we'll have some wrap ups at the end of the exhibition. We'll talk.
Okay, sweet, sweet. All right, thank you so
Cool.
much.
Yeah, have a wonderful rest of your day.
All right, you too.
Bye.
All right, see you.